Hi, my name is Grace Baroni, and welcome to Conversations with the ERC5. Today, I am so delighted to have with us as our guest, Shawn Santanello from Viren Entertainment. Shawn, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Grace, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have you here.
Likewise, I'm so glad to be here. This is
You know, every time we get together, I learn something new and exciting about you. And today is another one of those days.
All right.
So let's get started. Tell our viewers how you got into the entertainment industry.
Yeah. So a little bit, I think you just learned a little bit about my background. I mean, it started a very long time ago when I was 6 years old playing, a violin and, moved on to different instruments throughout my life as a kid. But the real sort of backstory to my entertainment history begins at about 16 years old, playing in a band at UMass in Frat Row. Back in the day when I was playing and singing through a guitar amp, not knowing what the heck I was doing. But yeah, just kind of fell in love with being in front of an audience and that exchange and getting that raw energy and emotion and kind of discovering that at an early age and finding out that, as just a natural lover of music, but also to take it to that next level and really feel what it was like to actually then entertain people. Kind of that's where it really began for me.
I love working with you.
Likewise.
It's always been a lot of fun. And you cover things that I don't think of. And that's what you need someone to do for you, right? You're pulling an event together and it's like, oh, I didn't think about sound, or I didn't think about this. And you enlighten me on why that's all so important. So it is always such a pleasure. And to circle back on something that you just said that about engaging with the audience, you do that so well.
Thank you.
Because at the Kentucky Derby event for Square One, I mean, there's a good crowd there and you've got people waiting to do pictures and things like that. And you navigated it all so beautifully. Like you engaged with the person you were doing, in the photo booth, but at the same time, you engaged with the folks that were waiting. So even if you were waiting in line to get up there, you were still having a good time and you drew us all in, like we were your audience. And when you were talking today, I'm like, oh, so that's where he gets that. You had that great ability to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
To draw in the audience.
Yeah, again, I'd always pull back from when I was a kid. I had a grandmother who was a performer. My mom also played music, but my grandmother was, she was Miss Massachusetts, Miss Senior Massachusetts. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we would go to her shows and I would help her, just kind of run through her stuff and her different changes of clothes, and she was a big inspiration on my life, and I was raised kind of by her as well. So I kind of was introduced to the whole entertainment aspect of life at a very young age, and so a lot comes from my youth. And when it came time for me to finally graduate high school and go to college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but music's the only thing I really know and am good at, so that's kind of what I followed. Well,
you followed your passion. And that's always important, because if there's no passion for the work that you're doing, then that's reflected.
Right.
Right. I love your love of the work that you do, because it's so important. It doesn't matter if you're planning a wedding and all the things that go into that, or if you're planning a business event and you're bringing in an audience, if it's to deliver a message or if it's just to host a wonderful evening, there's so many aspects to it, and you cover it all. And I mean, there's the lighting, the photo booth, there's the music, the DJ piece. There's so many different elements, but they all come together. They have to come together, and that's where you come in.
Right. And I think it's something else you touched on too. A lot of it is education, and sort of exposing hurdles to people that they never even realized were there, right? So, we talk about, the Feast in the East. There was a couple different things that were going on at this past year's Feast in the East, and one of which was, you expressed to me that, all right, well, we got, 300 plus people who are going to be in this big room at the starting gate at Great Horse. And I said, okay, well, how many sets of speakers do you have? And you're like, well, I think we have one because we have a performer who's come. I'm like, okay, well, that's a very long room. It's a very big open space. And you also expressed that you needed some sound outside. I'm like, okay, well, how are all these people going to hear all this stuff? And you're like, I never thought about that. Same thing. I just met with a couple this morning who they're planning a 60th birthday party, and that's going to be in a tent outside in late fall. And I said, okay, what do you got for lighting? They're like, I have no idea. I'm like, well, it's going to get dark and people are going to need to see stuff. I'm like, do you have regular lights? Do you have ambient lights? So all these little things, again, it's just about experience, right? And just in doing these things. And again, just kind of knowing what people are going to need before they know it. And meeting and exceeding people's expectations is another big part of what I like to try to do. So
you do that really well.
Thank you.
And because you mentioned the Feast in the East,
Yeah.
I have to give you a shout out.
Oh.
So not only did you help me with educating me on the importance of the speakers, because, I assumed, oh yeah, Great Horse has the speakers, and that's fine. We've always done it that way. But with your education on that, it was like, oh yeah, I don't want the people that are outside or out on the deck to miss out on what's happening inside. Right. So you're right. I'm like, oh, Shawn's right. We've got to do that. Lots of things happen when you're planning an event. And having been in the bridal industry 30 years ago, doing trade shows and things like that, you always learn that, and you've got to be ready to pivot. So one thing that happened for the Feast in the East was you were taking care of our sound and things like that, and we had another vendor who was coming in to do a photo booth.
Yeah.
And it was the morning of the event.
Yeah.
And they called and they're like, I'm in the emergency room. I'm not well. I'm really doing my best to get to you. And I said, okay, this isn't life or death. And, I said, you take care of your health, and that's
Right.
all that matters. And you called to just, I'm heading up there. Do you need anything? What can I do? And I said, well, unless you can do a photo booth for me. And you said, okay, no problem. Yeah. We'll get on it. And literally with hours to go, you took care of that for us.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Absolutely. I was happy to do it. Happy to do it.
And you were, though. You were happy to do it.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah.
Because sometimes, you're trying to fill a spot, and you could very well have said to me, hey, Grace, I can't help you.
Yeah.
That's not on the agenda for today. And that would have been understandable. But you were just so kind, and it was like, yeah, I got this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to hear from the people that you're working with when you're hosting an event, when you're doing anything. You want to know that, don't worry about it. I've got it.
Yeah. I think that's, I will say that I feel like that's maybe a strength of mine that, I do have that ability. Again, this has come up just several times, and even just the past couple of weeks. Another sort of really bad health thing happened with, a friend of mine who is a DJ, and literally days before he needed someone to step in and run an entire wedding and, learn a first dance song, how to play and sing it, and play a live acoustic set for a dinner. And this was, we had to figure this all out. And then we kind of dropped the bomb on the bride and groom, and they were like, okay, this is great. And I met with them, and we were all very comfortable with them. I pulled in some of my team to kind of help, and it was amazing. Yeah. And, things like that kind of happen. On my wedding on Saturday that I have to go to in New Hampshire, similar thing. These folks were relying on another musician who was going to play some ceremony music acoustically on a guitar, and then became non-committal at the last moment. It was like, well, I can't do that. And they're like, well, Shawn, can you do that? I'm like, tell me what you want me to play. Give me by the end of the weekend. I'll run through these and see if I can come up with an arrangement, and I will honestly tell you whether I think I can commit to that or not. I did. I ran through it. You put in the work, you commit, because, you know that people have put in a lot of time and effort and, frankly, money to plan these events, and to be able to not have these little things that are kind of the pieces that put it really kind of over the top and make it amazing. To not have those little pieces, they can kind of, put a damper on an event, or at least not make it as exceptional as it could
Right.
be. So I always just kind of like I said, to kind of meet and exceed sort of expectations, and to step in whenever I can, because I mean, I know that I would hope that would be reciprocated if it was, going the other way. And I've been in plenty of cases where that is the case. So
I am grateful that each time I have needed you, you are always there to step in and make it happen flawlessly, so that no one knows until we just shared it with everybody.
Right.
Now
the curtain's been pulled behind.
That's so important, though.
Yeah.
You need to surround yourself and to be able to work with people on various projects.
Absolutely.
From a wedding, which is so memorable and something that you will always look back upon, to, if you've got a business event, you need to know that, you've got 100 guests coming in or more. You need to know that everything is in place and that you're meeting their needs.
Right.
Even something as simple as, you think that the speakers will cover it, right?
Right.
And then when you stop, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I've been at events where there was a speaker and I kind of lost interest.
Right.
Why did that happen? And you start to think about it. Oh, because I wasn't in the front few rows.
Right.
So I kind of missed out on the message. And then I started, to wander and not pay the attention that I should have done.
Absolutely.
So thank you for making me aware of all of those wonderful things.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So for our business owners, our brides and grooms that are out there, for people planning an event, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you and learn about all the amazing services that you provide?
Yeah, the best way is to either reach me by my website, virenentertainment.com, VIREN entertainment.com. You can see, the different things that I provide as far as the DJ services, live music, photo booth services, lighting, and also, just for businesses out there, we provide things like AV rentals, TVs, speakers, projections, all those kind of things that you might need for communication at a meeting or some kind of an event. All those different things that are really needed, again, to kind of make your event kind of function, but then also to be able to put it over the top as well and make it a really fun thing too. Yeah. So something for effective messaging as well as, to make it fun too. But yeah, contact me by my website. That'd be great. There's a form you can fill out and put all your information in, and I'm guaranteed to get back to you within 12 to 24 hours. And that's the other thing is I believe in good, open, quick communication with folks too is very important. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much for making time to be here.
Absolutely.
And I encourage everyone to give you a call because, you helped us with our annual meeting. And you took us from one room where we did a seating, boardroom type of meeting. And then you took it to the next level where we had entertainment and music and in another room, and you did it for us flawlessly. Right. And everyone was so pleased.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. This was great.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Always. Thank you so much, Shawn.
Thanks.
And thank you for watching Conversations with the ERC5. If you would like to be the next guest here at Stonegate Studios, go to our website, ERC5.com, and you can sign up there.